Hello, this chapter is chapter 5 and it's on positioning. When you finish studying this chapter, you'll be able to know what positioning via perceptual maps is concerning, the positioning matrix, what it is and how to use it, writing a positioning statement. Perception. What is positioning? First thing would be perception. So how do you perceive a product, a brand, a company, and why do you perceive it that way? Okay. The next one would be identity. Where does a specific brand rank among the competitors? What benefits will the target market value in this identity? What is the acceptable price point range? What is the optimum distribution system, selling location of the product? What is acceptable communication of the product to the customer? So, for example, go to the first one. What does a specific brand rank among the competition? So if we use ECU, where do we rank among our competition? You have to see what the competition is. If you just would say the competition is all four-year universities in the world, that would be a completely different ranking system than the four-year universities in Oklahoma or the other Russo schools or regional schools, the state schools versus the private schools, the large state schools versus ECU would be the small state schools, so OU or OSU versus ECU, and then go on to the benefits of the target market. The survey that I had done last semester said the benefits that people find and why they chose ECU were twofold. The first one being the location. They were able to continue to work or live at home with their parents and come to school here. And the second one was the price point. It's one of the least expensive schools, even for out of state in certain locations that we accept that will be in-state tuition, or international students that come here in certain locations are able to receive in-state tuition depending on the situation that they're in. So price point is another one here, and where are the lower price points, which is why we have one of the lowest debt ratios of students, or accumulated debt of students when they graduate. Student debt. What is the price point range? How much would you pay to come to ECU, and then where would that put us in competition? So if we were the same price as SMU or TCU or Baylor or Rice down in Houston, the consideration would be far different than the current price point that we have. Okay? What is acceptable communication about the product to the customer? Do we want to advertise in the Wall Street Journal, or do we want to do more social media that has more local touch to it than the Wall Street Journal would have? So if the only place we marketed ECU was the Wall Street Journal, I think that it would be difficult to attract the right target market to come here, because our target market doesn't normally read the Wall Street Journal in general. Whereas if we do social media, many of the Instagram followers that we have are either current students, family, or alumni. So that seems to be more appropriate and more effective if we use that. So positioning versus perception. Okay, market skimming. When you do that type of price point, that's when you're coming in and charging a great deal for your product. A new iPhone, a new Galaxy phone. These would all be price skimming because it's the latest technology, or supposed to be the latest technology. And so they would come in at a very high price, and it comes from skimming the cream off of milk is where the saying comes from. And you're skimming the top profit margin because you're charging the most for it. Market penetration is the exact opposite. If you're coming into a market that's fairly saturated, and you're coming with a product that's not dissimilar to the current offering, then you would want to do market penetration pricing. An example of this is Microsoft with Explorer. And they came in when Netscape was everywhere. Everyone had Netscape on their computers, and that's the browser that people used. So instead of charging for Explorer, Microsoft gave it away in their Microsoft Office suite so that people would start using the Explorer and not Netscape. Okay? Quality, luxury, prestige. When we talk about the latest technology in automobiles, the more expensive ones will have the technology first, and then after a while, the technology will filter down to the lower priced vehicles. When you talk about watches or uh, private planes versus commercial airlines, the quality is far different getting on a G6 and flying to your destination non-stop than trying to go on United or American and trying to get to your destination that way. And that goes down to your basics. Location, where can you find the product? Is it found in Neiman Marcus, Nordstrom, Saks Fifth Avenue, or is it found at Walmart or Target or Dollar General? So the location would matter also as far as your perception of the product. And availability, is it difficult to find and purchase, or is it everywhere? There's even a commercial out right now on Reese's peanut butter cups that they're available virtually every place that business is done. Anywhere there's a retail store, you can find a Reese's peanut butter cup packaged purchase. Versus something that's very difficult to find. If you try to find a Philippe Petit watch, for example, it's extraordinarily difficult. If you even try to find, well, in Ada, there's only a handful of car dealers. So if you're trying to find a Volvo or a Mercedes or Jaguar, you'd have to go to Oklahoma City or even Dallas. Tesla would be another example. It's very difficult to get if you're not in a major city. And that's an overview of Chapter 5, Positioning.